welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and this is all about my life after gastric bypass surgery. And today, if you can believe it, is my 17-month post-op update. I can't believe how rapidly I'm approaching a year and a half post-op. And I know it's kind of arbitrary, but 18 months post-op is kind of a milestone. In a lot of ways, it signifies the end of what to expect from gastric bypass and bariatric surgery in general. 18 months is really kind of the last tail end of what people are usually benefiting the most out of surgery. After that point, you've really gotten the most out of surgery, and it's kind of up to you at that point. Although I really feel like I hit that point before now, 18 months is still a milestone that I feel like kind of having a bigger discussion and a bigger viewpoint on when I reach it. So I have one more month to kind of see where I land. And I think it's important because a lot has happened in the last month to make me take a step back, reassess some stuff, and go into this final month, if you will, with a totally better viewpoint and being in a good mindset. You know, I say final month, and I really do mean those quotation marks, because this is a lifetime journey for me, and this is a lifetime of commitment to change and betterment. So although that 18-month milestone means something to me, it is not the end of anything. Periodically, I think that these milestones are good opportunities for me to stop, look at the big picture, look how far I've come, see how everything has changed for me, and reassess moving forward. And after 18 months, you're kind of at that point where there are no more mini milestones. It's kind of yearly at that point. I'm, so such and such amount of years out from surgery. And so I just think it's a good opportunity for me to stop and reflect. But you know me, I always stop and reflect anyway. Speaking of stopping and reflecting, I have quite a bit that has happened in not just the last month to review, but since the last video that I posted. But before I get too far into that, I just want to thank everybody who is a returning subscriber. Thank you so much. I just recently saw my subscriber count shoot up quite a few, and I was just out of nowhere, so I was really excited to see that. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for supporting my journey and my videos. And if you're not yet a subscriber, I just ask that if you do like this content and you like my perspective as somebody who's post-op from gastric bypass, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you know whenever one of my videos goes live, if you want to support me, because that's the best way to do it. So I'm going to get into the stats right away because I know that some people are interested in the numbers, and so I'm going to throw them up right here. On May 1st, I weighed in at 202.6 pounds, and on May 31st, I weighed in at 203.4 pounds, so that was a 0.8 pound gain for the month. But I do want to point out that when I weighed in at the end of the month, it was on the tail end of a celebratory weekend, and when I weighed in this morning, I'm back down to about 202.4, so I'm right in the middle of not gaining or losing anything like normal, like I've been experiencing for the past several months. I am fluctuating the same 2 or 3 pounds every week. And if you watched my previous video in which I spiraled out of control, worrying about whether or not I'm doing things correctly and trying to break my stall, in which I got even lower than I am right now, but as a result of restricting my food and making myself go insane, which of course I'll link up here, you'll know that I've been struggling with this for a while and really kind of in this headspace where I'm just not sure of myself. And that's really what everything is boiling down to. My last video where I talked about vulnerability, I really kind of delved into how I'm in this headspace where I'm unsure of myself, I'm self-conscious, not just in my physical appearance and how I feel about myself, but also self-conscious that I'm not doing the right thing, I'm doing something wrong. I've done a lot of research during this time period. I've done a lot of self-reflection and experimentation with myself, my body, the food that I'm eating, and I've really come to the conclusion that I'm not doing something wrong. And your opinion may differ from mine, and that's totally fine, but as badly as I want to keep losing weight, and as badly as I feel like I still have quite a bit of progress to go, especially with things on the horizon like a wedding and at some point doing dress fitting and things. I mean, I definitely have a strong desire to continue losing weight, but not at the cost of my mental health. And that's where I'm trying to find the balance. And that's very, very difficult. And it's probably one of the most difficult parts of this journey so far. I've had my ups and downs for sure, but I didn't think that a year and a half in is where I would find the most struggle. And that's really where I'm at, is that mentally this is extremely difficult. And I'm trying really hard to figure out what the best thing is. And I feel like because I'm not making progress on the scale, that I'm not making progress and that I'm stalled and I'm doing something wrong, this, that, and the other thing. And, you could put out all the different things I've talked about over the past couple of months, but ultimately I'm happiest when I'm not scrutinizing everything that I'm doing. And that means something. Even if it's stalling my weight loss and even if it looks different than what some other people are doing post-op, it means something for me to be happy and content and feel like I'm in control of myself. Last week, I experienced something that I haven't really experienced to this extent since surgery. And that was that my headspace was 100% back in the throes of an unchecked binge eating disorder. I found myself with a complete lack of self-control. And not only did I have that feeling of lack of self-control, but I acted on it. And since I can't really sit down and binge like I used to, what I ended up doing was basically grazing throughout the day. And it wasn't just grazing on, cheeses and meats and things. It was grazing on an entire package of graham crackers, which, by the way, why don't graham crackers make me sick? Of all the random things that give me dumping, why don't graham crackers give me dumping? That's not fair. That's not fair. And because they don't make me sick, in this moment where I was unable to control myself and just in the throes of this mental health breakdown, basically, I was just eating tons and tons of graham crackers because there was nothing that was physically saying, whoa, you're making yourself sick, you need to stop. That being said, I would like to point out that although some things might not give me dumping, I always pay for them. And this may be a TMI moment, but it's the truth. The next morning, I always feel awful. And I usually have to jump out of bed first thing in the morning when I wake up, like before 7 a.m., and I have to run to the bathroom, and I usually feel pretty awful for like 15 minutes in the morning as my body is like, get this out of me. What did you do to me yesterday? So although I do not necessarily have issues with dumping on lots and lots of different things anymore, I do suffer the next day. And I need to remember that, because if I go through the process of eating like crap and eating my feelings and, using food to cope, which is something I've been working really hard to stop doing. But if I break down and that happens, I always feel sick. It might not be right away, but I will always feel sick. And I need to remember that so that I don't do that in the future, especially first thing in the morning. It's just so inconvenient and such a horrible way to start your day, is if you're just feeling really sick and you're sitting on the toilet first thing in the morning, why? What's wrong with me? But getting back to the original topic, although my weight does seem to stall and I really have a hard time losing weight just in general, but definitely quickly when I am doing more of an intuitive type eating, I'm in so much more control, and food doesn't have that grip over me that it does when I am painstakingly paying attention to everything that I eat and every decision that I make. And that means a lot, because I could continue to lose weight at a steady pace at the expense of my happiness and my mental health. And also, In addition to that, I will periodically binge on things and make myself sick and eat a bunch of stuff that I don't need, because that's my pattern. That's what my pattern was before surgery. And I've said multiple times, even though for some reason I tried to forget myself, surgery doesn't fix that. So now that I'm able to eat more and I'm so far away from surgery, those old habits are trying to creep back in, and I need to be way more mindful about that. And that means that if I'm super strict and I'm restricting certain foods, I will inevitably get back into that cycle. That cycle is scientifically supported. People who restrict foods have a much higher frequency of binging and then going back and forth in this cycle that is awful and hard to break. I don't want to do that anymore. But now that I'm at that point where it's starting to be possible again, I need to be more mindful. What that looks like is that I've finally come to the ability to track my food without second guessing everything that I'm tracking. I need to track my food to just know where I'm at. And the only thing that I'm second guessing as I'm tracking my food is whether or not I actually want to eat something because I'm hungry and how many calories it is, and if I have a smarter or healthier choice. So at this point, from a lot of the research that I've found and what I think works for me and what I want to try out is paying attention to my protein and my calories. And a lot of reputable websites and reputable doctors that I have seen have suggested that as long as you have your protein goals met and you're staying within a certain amount of calories, the rest will fall into place. You don't have to worry quite so much about each and every macro, which can be kind of overwhelming, especially for someone like me. So at this point, I'm trying to eat under 1,500 calories. I would like it to be between 1,200 and 1,400 calories, but I'm not being super strict, and especially if I'm working out or doing some heavy exercise, I'm going to allow myself to have a little bit of extra calories to make up for that. So as long as I'm under 1,500, I'm feeling like I'm doing pretty well. That for me is an experiment. I don't really know what calorie amount is going to work for me specifically. With my level of activity, my specific body, the types of food that I'm eating, I really need to find that sweet spot. So right now, I'm just aiming for that, and I will adjust if I need to. What it has done though is made me feel so much better already. And in fact, after a couple days of doing this, I end up noticing that I have a tendency to eat much closer to 1,200 calories than I really even thought, because I lean towards those healthier choices and they make me feel better. But if I'm doing that out of a punishment or feeling like I need to, it throws everything off, the balance is all off, and I end up eating more. It feels like a no-brainer because I know what my pattern was and what I've done in the past, but it's like it took me all of this stress and all of this worry to get to the point where I realized, yeah, you know your body. Pay attention and stop comparing yourself to other people. So ultimately, I'm feeling so much better. And the big thing I want to emphasize here is that although my goal is to still ultimately lose some weight and try to find a balance with having a healthy relationship with food and eating more intuitively but still mindfully, the bigger emphasis is on building healthy lifelong habits. And that's why I feel like I'm doing just fine. Because when I take a step back and I look at the big picture, like I'm always trying to tell myself to do, I'm realizing that all of the little things that I've been doing and improving on over time has been building what I want to build, and I'm feeling better, and I'm building a basis on which to build from and get better from there. And so does it matter that my weight is stalled if I am willingly going out and moving and hiking and walking and doing more things and getting more energy and getting more motivation and doing things in my life? No, I would much rather stay at the same weight but feel like my life is so much more enriched than continue to lose weight at the expense of, all the other things and my happiness and not feeling like I'm making progress. If you've been around for any length of time, you might know that last year I participated in a hike, scavenger hunt kind of activity that happened throughout the summer, where you went on a hike every other week and you got riddles and it would lead you to other hikes, and the hikes progressively got harder over the summer. And I went ahead and signed up again this year. We did our first hike, which really starts off as a walk this last weekend. And I just felt so happy to be doing that. I felt so happy to have something that I was looking forward to, that we would go out and we did, a 3-mile walk without any concern. In fact, while we were on the trail, there was this flight of stairs that went up into the woods, and it said that it went to a park up there. And so we decided to veer off the trail to go up all these flights of stairs just to see what was up there. Had a look, and then we went back down and continued along the trail. We just voluntarily did that because I wanted to, and I had the energy and the desire to go up a bunch of stairs. That means a lot to me. That's something I never would have chosen to do in the past. And that has to mean something. It means I'm building something really great here. So who cares about the scale? And another thing, I went ahead and booked a trip to Alaska to go visit my mom. You guys probably know that I really rely on my mom a lot, and I really felt like with everything going on in my life right now, a visit with my mom was really warranted. And looking at the rest of the year, I'm like, when else am I going to be able to do this? Plus, I get to go up to Alaska for the summer, so that's pretty fun. So I'm really looking forward about a week and a half from now to going up for a week and visiting and just being able to have some mom time, feel like I can refresh myself, feel like I can kind of ground myself. I'm really close with my mom. I really feel every time that I visit her that I really kind of get this refresh effect. And so I think that's really, really necessary. And one of the things that I'm actually really looking forward to doing is a bucket list item that I've had for a long time. So she lives in Juneau, Alaska. I actually went to college in Juneau. I lived there for several years, and there was always this hike that was notorious for being pretty difficult, but totally worth it. And it was a hike that goes all the way out to one of the closest glaciers that they have, where you can actually go and see the ice caves that form. There are these beautiful caves in this blue ice that goes through the glacier, and it's just, every time I've seen pictures of it, I've been absolutely mesmerized, and I've always wanted to see it for myself. But I never felt that I could do that hike without feeling really, really embarrassed, because it was notorious for being pretty difficult. And B, I only had a vague interest in doing it. I wanted to do it, but I had such low amounts of energy and motivation and desire to do it that I never wanted to push myself to actually see if I could do it. So I never did. And it was one of the things that really bothered me when I left Juneau. When I moved away, I realized I never did that. And that was really upsetting to me, that I let my weight get in the way of something that I had always wanted to do for years. And so I told her that when I come visit, it is a must do. We have to go out and do that hike. I have to go finally check it off my bucket list and finally do it. I am so excited. And I'm super excited that I'm doing it with my mom. Of all the people that I could share this experience with and just go on this, at the risk of sounding corny, this life-changing moment for me and this effort to kind of refresh myself and get regrounded. I think this is going to do a world of wonder for me, and I can't imagine doing it with anybody other than my mom. So I am so excited for doing this, but ultimately I'm just excited in general that this is the direction my life is going. And as many times as I'm going to get frustrated and upset at the scale when I weigh in and I still don't have the change that I'm looking for, I need to be looking at the big picture, and I need to be seeing that my life is on the trajectory that I've always wanted it to be on. And so I am successful and I am happy and I have made a lot of progress. Scale be damned. Something else I almost forgot to mention along the same lines of kind of building up a life that I've always wanted and making progress in ways outside of the scale is that I really feel like I've started to make progress in my strength training, and not just with targeted strength training, but just gaining my strength back over time, because I really did have quite a bit of muscle atrophy and I was really noticing a lot of weakness in various areas of my body. I've been doing a little bit of strength training in YouTube videos, but also I've just been doing work. I've been doing work in my yard. I've been trying to move things around and be more active, and ultimately that has led to me gaining some strength. And I really feel like I've gained a lot of strength, especially in, well, I was gonna say especially in my upper body, but my lower body too. After a few hikes lately, I can really tell that my legs are getting so much stronger than they were right after surgery. But I mean, look at this. I actually am starting to get some muscle definition. I mean, yeah, I've got a lot of loose skin still, but I haven't been able to flex and see a muscle in a really long time. Now, granted, I used to have a lot of fat there, so if I did have muscle, I couldn't see it when I flex. So that's just in itself a really cool thing to be able to do. But I feel like it's just a good reminder that taking pictures and looking and comparing things is so much better than just looking at a number on the scale, because I was feeling that I'm getting stronger and that I'm improving. And when I look at myself, when I actually take a moment to look and see, I can tell that there's a difference. I can tell that there's progress being made. So numbers can be an important data point, but they're just one piece of the puzzle. Make sure you look at yourself, flex in the mirror, take pictures, make sure that you don't just focus on the things that you're most upset and most uncomfortable with. Because every time I take a moment to really, really reflect on things, I'm surprised at the things that pop up that I've made progress in that I really didn't think about until I forced myself to think about it. So thank you so much for watching and supporting this journey of mine. As always, make sure you stay happy and healthy and always look at the big picture, and I will see you guys in the next one.